With so many game reveals across various live streams during the week of not E3 2023, we decided to handpick a few that could have fallen under your radar. We don't blame you either. There were a ton of exciting new games revealed, but let's not forget to make room for unique experiences from developers that push their creative passion to the limits. From developer Long Way Home, RESISTOR is a narrative-driven racing game set in 2060, when the world's government have destroyed each other, leaving self-contained city-states led by corporations. While the citizens within the cities are well off, those out in the desert will likely struggle to meet ends meet. Annual racing tournaments are held to remain competitive but friendly, with the ultimate prize being citizenship, guaranteeing a better livelihood. Players assume the role of Aster, who enters the latest racing tournament held by Decker Industries to ultimately gain the healthcare needed for her mother. However, this leads her to discover that life in the city isn't as perfect as she thought. Gameplay includes high levels of customization for both Aster and her car, which isn't out of the scope of this team, who is made up of developers who've worked on Mass Effect Trilogy, Star Wars The Old Republic, and Days Gone. So we're expected some high levels of drama and speed whenever RESISTOR launches. The gothic Metroidvania from developer Kumi Souls Games received a release window and new gameplay with the promise of an open beta available soon. The Last Faith features fast-paced and precise combat with spells, melee weapons, and firearms, where protagonist Eric explores a world of false deities. Further, the world design is non-linear, featuring mountains, forests, crypts, and cities. The developers described the game as a dark, gothic fusion of Metroidvania and Souls-like. Players navigate this world as Eric, who wakes up with amnesia. This leads him to take on cursed missions in hopes of discovering who he is, which is a lot easier said than done considering the enemies he'll face on the way. Who doesn't love a good pirate adventure? Developer Fireplace Games reveals Unguard will launch on PC in August, where players will assume the role of the swashbuckling hero Adelia. The game's narrative takes on a playful tone as players follow the escapades of this whimsical adventurer. Surprisingly, even through its lighthearted narrative, the combat has some depth. Players can parry, dodge, and perform various sword abilities to get through groups of enemies. However, you're also able to utilize the environment and various weapons to get through fights. Some enemies have weaknesses that can be taken advantage of, and if you can't get enough of the action, there's an arena mode to take on enemies using modifiers. There's also no need to wait to try this game out, as there's a demo available now. Sometimes, all you need is a good wholesome adventure to spark the imagination. Developer NPC Studios revealed their newest game, Fields of Mysteria, where players will create a character and jump into a world inspired by farming sim RPGs of the late 90s. The game takes place in Mystria, a town that requires your assistance to flourish once again. So, what better way to do that than to build a farm and kickstart that economy? During gameplay, players can traverse the town and surrounding lands as they complete tasks, discover new materials, and farm their days away. Aside from that, there are fishing and crafting systems that expand the possibilities of the experience. And before you ask, of course you can get married. There's a lot more to discover here, and we're definitely looking forward to it. Put a cat in it, and they will come. We all know the appeal of cats, but Everdeep Aurora is a surprising new feline adventure that borrows from several genres to create a unique experience. This 2D adventure introduces Shell, a cat who has been separated from her mother. The only path forward is to drill through procedurally generated tile-based rocks and create platforming opportunities to reunite with her family. Set in a future where all of civilization has moved underground, Shell will make many discoveries on her descent. There are ruins, lakes, and labs that make up a few of the environments, but along the way, 20 characters with their own theme songs will add insight into the world while upgrading your gameplay capabilities. If that's not enough to hook you, the presentation features a retro aesthetic and some interesting menu displays. This is one cat venture we're definitely looking forward to. Okay, honestly, Altered Alma just looks freaking cool. This action platformer has all the style one needs to grab the attention of any gamer, but why not throw in some dating sim elements to sweeten the pot? Well, that's exactly what developer Two Awesome Studios did in this pixel art action adventure featuring a non-linear story from writer Anthony Johnston, who worked on Resident Evil Village and Dead Space. Set in the Neo-Barcelona, players can take on the role of Jack, a young mercenary who takes on jobs to make a living. The choices players make through missions alter Jack's playstyle and abilities, but no matter which route you take, there's a high degree of customization within the base of operations and the party members who join you. When it comes to romance, well, Jack isn't shy about dating on the job. What a Chad. There are moments when a game catches you off guard. Developer Microbirds has seemingly done that with their newest social sim action RPG, Dungeons of Hinterberg. Set in the Austrian Alps, this adventure is lush with a stylistic presentation and unique locales. There are 25 dungeons to explore, each with unique puzzles and bosses to take on. Further, the developer has shared that there are more than 20 different enemy types to encounter across 4 distinct worlds. The story follows Luisa, a burnt-out law trainee who travels to Hinterberg to take on the dungeon trials. Although this is considered a tourist attraction, there are dangers that lurk throughout the gorgeous scenery. To get around, players can snowboard down glaciers and zipline through forests. Movement is kept swift even in combat, where players have access to a few weapons and actions to take down foes. Puzzles are also a significant mechanic to get through some of the dungeons. Man, I never thought Austria had so many attractions. It's not a showcase of new games without the reveal of a new horror adventure that will need to be on your radar. The Chinese Room, known for their Amnesia series, has revealed Still Wakes the Deep, a new horror project that takes the skills they've mastered over the years within the genre and brings it all together. There's a focus on narrative and exploration here, grounded in reality, but if you played past releases from this team, you'll know supernatural elements are just waiting around the corner. The story takes place on an offshore oil rig. As one of the workers, you must fight for your life through a storm. With all the communications lost and all exits blocked off, the only thing worse that could happen would be some strange monster haunting you. Well, that's exactly what happens. Mainly known for their narrative adventures, developer Don't Nod revealed their newest title, Jusant, which breaks away from what you'd expect from the team by featuring action puzzle sequences. Still, the team sticks to their accessible roots by allowing players to move through the game world at their own pace while forging their own path. During gameplay, players join up with their protagonist and his companion, Ballast, to climb a tower built by an ancient civilization. There are various tools that assist in the ascent of the tower, each with varying difficulty levels. Still, there are secrets that require players to push their climbing skills to the test. We're curious about what resides at the top of this mountain, but the journey looks just as captivating. While developer Thunder Lotus isn't known for creating co-op experiences, they always knock it out of the park in the presentation department. With the reveal of 33 Immortals, the team expands their catalog by blending together roguelike and co-op elements of gameplay. Through the action, players will need to join up with others to take down large foes and raid-like battles. It's possible to plan a strategy within the group with customizable skills and abilities for characters, but there's also a variety of weapons to master to fit whatever playstyle you're comfortable with. The adventure has players roaming the world as a damned soul who raises arms against God's final judgment. Players will take on hordes of monsters, gaining strength to take on the larger boss encounters. Within your group, you'll clear out rooms of enemies before joining up with others to face more prominent foes. Nothing this team has ever created is straightforward, and they seem to really be pushing their own skills to deliver a unique experience to players, and we're all about it. And that's it. Let us know if you saw any games announced that you think people should keep their eye on. And continue to watch Noisy Pixel for all our future coverage.
Noisy Pixel.